Yeah, we are. Okay, let's call the April 28th, 2014 Finance Advisory and Audit Committee meeting to order. Let's roll call.
Yes. Yes. Chair Long Chu.
Here.
Vice Chair Lise Ryan. Here. Committee Member Ken Johnson.
Here.
Committee Member Cheryl Miller.
Here.
And let the record reflect that Member Virginia Standish is absent.
Okay, item number 1B. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Cheryl. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Elise. Any discussion, any comment? Saying none. All those in favor, saying aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Item number 1C, appointment of chair and vice chair. Before we do that, I'd like to relinquish my chairmanship to the vice chair, and I want to make a nominate Liz to be our new chair. Call for a second.
Oh, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. One second.
Nobody wants to say.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
I'll vote for it.
You're the chair now.
Since I've got to. Okay,
So-
vice chair, you have to, am I taking the meeting? Does that
Of
mean I'm
course.
taking the meeting?
You're in
Okay.
charge.
Do we have a
That was a
nomination?
slick movie. He got out of that quick. Right out of the gate, boom.
See, that'll stop me from asking too many questions won't it? During the meeting. Okay, do we have a nomination for vice chair? Ken?
I'll nominate you.
Who did you nominate?
You.
I'm
She's already the chair.
I'm already the chair.
Oh, you
He
mean
just
for
voted
this
me.
little thing
No,
that
no.
he pulled
No,
out?
that was what we just voted on, and he nominated me, and
Oh.
Cheryl seconded it, so I'm the chair now.
Okay,
And that
Hold
means
on,
we have to have a
dude.
vice chair, so.
all right.
you-
Oh, Cheryl, I'll nominate Cheryl.
I nominate you.
Let's all nominate Virginia. Yeah. Okay, do we have a nomination and a second for vice chair?
Oh,
I'll nominate Cheryl Miller.
I will second it.
Oh.
Is she willing to serve?
Are you willing to serve?
Well, you know my schedule during tax season, so
Maybe
there are no issues.
we have to chair.
Right now, you're okay.
Right now, I'm fine.
Okay. All right, so shall we vote on the motion? Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion passed, 4-0.
Congratulations.
Congratulations to you.
Congratulations. Okay, so now, we had an approval of the agenda. I was really not expecting this. Okay, now we're on minutes, approval of minutes. Do we have approval, motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
I'll say.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All right, do we have discussion?
I have
Any
one.
discussion on the minutes?
I have one item, 2 items. On page 3, page 3 of the minutes, which is page 5 of 2028, the third paragraph. Vice Chair Ryan stated that the question posed by the council with respect to who pays for the road for improvement and not answered by the council. I thought we have a quick discussion, and Mark was able to clarify that. The council didn't vote on it, but they did have a consensus that the town will pay for it. Am I correct?
I believe that was correct.
Well, wait a
That-
minute.
that was gonna be followed
But
up with the
but this is
workshop.
the minutes, so they're reporting on what I said. And that is what I said at that meeting. That's, I did say that at that time, it was my impression that
Oh, right,
they
that's
were
true.
not.
That- yeah,
So the
that-
minutes
that-
are
that-
correct.
Yeah.
The minutes.
Do we need to clarify that in this minute to
No.
say?
It is. It's on the second page, on page 2 of 4 of the minutes, which is on page 4 of the packet. The second paragraph says, Bill Underwood advised that the town council consensus was that the town was responsible for the maintenance improvements of all of its roads.
Where is it?
It's under
One
item
page before
B, the page before.
Okay.
Under item B, it's the second paragraph. And it says, starts with Bill Underwood advised,
Oh, down at the bottom, sorry.
Right here.
Right there, the line.
right there.
Yeah,
Okay.
he did, that's what he
Is
said.
that,
However, yeah, at some point during the meeting, we may want to discuss, maybe during administrative comments, Mark, we can discuss we can get some feedback on the council meeting, you know, from you, and we can chip in the people that were there, you know, as to what the consensus is now and where it stands and how it's moving forward.
Question, but, Madam Chair,
Yes.
here the minutes is to reflect
What
the
was said.
discussion at the meeting, at our
Yes.
meeting, but not at your presentation.
Right.
But so this statement should not reflect.
That is what I said at
I
that
know.
meeting.
at this meeting too?
But-
She said it at this meeting.
But if this is incorrect, why you want to?
It is correct.
No, it is correct.
This is what you said,
That's what I said.
Here,
but
But
what
the
you said,
facts are not correct.
correct, that's what I mean.
Well, it's what I said at that
I
time.
understand that, but if,
I didn't get a difference of opinion.
if that was
Yeah.
clarified later on, I don't want to have conflicting information here, because that's what you said, that's correct, you said it.
I did say,
However, that was factually incorrect, Bill clarified it, so if you said it here, when people read it, they will have conflicting message.
can I interject, because Elise's presentation was who's gonna pay for the roads? That was for the equity, and what she said after the meeting here was that the council didn't answer her question, was who pays for the road? They said they were responsible for the roads, but they didn't mention who was gonna pay for the improvements
the
on the
payment
road.
is what's not clear. Yes.
Yeah, but I think, step back a second, don't forget that this agenda, when we had this meeting, it was dominated by everybody wanting to offer their opinion as to how they thought the workshop went. So this was very highly opinionated.
Yes, it was.
Everybody gave their thoughts, so.
Everybody gave their
And it may
opinion.
not all be consistent or congruent.
Right,
so-
right, but it was my impression at
But it
that
shouldn't be
time.
congruent.
That,
I
you
mean,
know, it was my impression that the council, that there wasn't a consensus as to who's paying for it. Responsible, yes, they're responsible, of course they are. But, you know, are the roads, what was meant by that was whether the council will pay 100% for the roads, or whether they want to do it on a cost share basis. That was the intent of what I said, but it wasn't, you know, but she's accurate.
And can you say that it was not clear from the council? I not answer, I don't know,
Yeah, I would agree to that.
Yeah.
You know, I may have said it wasn't clear.
wasn't clear from the
But
council.
I can put in here that we are gonna clarify it, but you can't clarify something that was said at the last meeting, so we
I
can
don't remember
clarify
what my
this.
actual words.
Those were your actual
Were
words.
they? Okay.
The actual word does not
Yeah,
affect
they have to put
reality.
words in.
Yeah.
So where do we stand on this?
I'm waiting for you to tell me what you're gonna clarify.
There's, you know, well, it would really be up to you. I mean, I would be happy if,
Can I make a
and
motion?
I don't know what all the Robert's rules are surrounding
Well,
this.
the thing is, you change the item on a minutes if the item was incorrect, but if the item is correct, I can't pretend to know what's in your mind.
Right.
I can only
And I-
report what was said at the
What was
meeting.
said,
If she
absolutely.
wants to clarify, that item won't be removed, but in the minutes on the approval, she's gonna give us a clarification of what she meant.
They do have the option of removing
Yeah.
that sentence.
We can remove
Oh,
that
I-
sentence.
I
I
make
can
a
copy
motion.
that.
I make
Well,
a
I
motion
guess-
to amend that sentence.
Just delete the sentence?
No, was not clear from the council.
No, I don't think we can say that, I mean,
Okay,
because
so what do you want to change? it
I
to?
think what we should do is just simply take the whole statement out if it's,
Okay, I
you
make a
know,
motion to.
if you don't feel that it's material. I don't think it's really necessarily required to put in all the discussion. We're really trying to get,
Oh, no, we're doing
I'm not
action.
gonna go into
We're gonna-
a discussion about minutes or a lecture on this. I did my master's program on this. It's very important that if we're gonna start removing things because I don't know how we're gonna decide what we're gonna edit in and what we're gonna edit out of a set of minutes. I know that was an important point of Elise's. It didn't come up just one time. She started the conversation because this was an item that was added to the agenda at her request because she wanted to get everybody's opinion. because she didn't feel that the council had answered her question.
Yeah, and I'm fine with leaving it in, I really am. And if
I
anybody
mean,
wants to
I can add
address it,
some
they
more
can
to
ask me,
this.
and I'll tell them what,
I just, if we,
was intended.
I don't know how to change, add things and exclude
I
things.
don't think we should ask management to change if they're not comfortable with it, and
I mean, I don't mind doing it, but we start down that road, how do I determine what we add and what we don't add?
You can.
It's kind of hard, it's subjective on who's gonna be doing the minutes, but I could clarify it.
How do you clarify?
Well, I could just say that Vice Chair Ryan stated that the question posed to the council with respect to who pays for the road improvements, she believes was not, clearly answered,
Okay.
or
That's
she,
good. Just
or
say
she
it was not
felt,
clearly answered.
Okay,
she stated that she felt.
yeah. So I make a motion
Yes,
to amend.
yeah, that's
amend
fine. You can
reflect
say-
what Pearl just said.
Okay. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Excuse me, but should the minutes reflect that Virginia Standish is now present?
I did, I put
Oh, did
it,
you?
I made a note of
All
it.
right,
Thank you.
I didn't want you to.
Oh, I was just waiting for you to say so. I knew you wouldn't let it go.
Thank you, Ken. Okay, do we have any other discussion on the minutes?
Yes, and the next item before new business, I think Phil's last name is now LIU.
It's LIU, yeah. LIU.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Do we have any other corrections, additions, deletions? Okay, so.
Yes,
I do
he
have a
does.
question.
Okay,
This is on page 3 or 4. About halfway down, there was a lengthy discussion relative to the creating of various scenarios for the council's consideration. Then it goes on to say about collecting canal.
Well,
Did-
because,
Here's the question. Did they ever come up with a final figure of what the actual cost to do the repaving of collecting canal was gonna be?
We have not had an engineering entity provide a cost estimate.
Okay, so as soon as you get that, you would then,
Well, that would give you the level of detail you're looking for. Right now,
Right.
this is just the management company's best guess as to
right, okay.
but what they were discussing was the scenario, because the council at that meeting had said we're still gonna do the 3 Marcella. So what they had asked for was to not do any action on collecting canal and D Road. That's why I put those in parentheses.
Right,
Just so the scenarios were, I just wanted to make sure everybody knew that the scenarios did not include Marcella, Compton, or Bryan.
right.
oh, okay. Yeah, because as I remember, we specifically told the council in the report, and Ken was there, that we weren't singling out roads,
Yeah,
we wanted that to be their decision, but we had asked them to review the plan.
yeah.
Was my
But they
understanding.
had said at that meeting that
They
they
were
were
gonna
they were
continue. We
moving
asked them
forward
to
with those
clarify.
3 roads.
Right, we asked them to look, to review and clarify which projects were gonna go forward. That's what I reported. So, okay. Cheryl?
Okay. On page 4 of 178, under 4A Old Business, the second paragraph where it says Underwood provided, that last sentence there, where it says cost of around $2,000 for 2 seats, however, he did point out that he has not seen the system or has had enough information. Shouldn't that sound a little different, like hasn't had enough, doesn't have enough information, hasn't had enough information, something like
What sense, where is this?
where it says Underwood provided.
The last sentence of that paragraph.
That last kind of sentence of that paragraph.
Okay.
So he has not.
You said that.
Because
Has not
if he
had.
hasn't seen it, how can he have enough? If he has not
Those
seen
are
the,
tired.
how can
Not
he have
had.
enough information
Right,
on
right,
it?
we did not have any, we didn't have a
He
summary.
doesn't-
We
Quote me
discussed
correctly,
the
please,
summary.
in the future.
Or doesn't have enough information at this time to make any
Right, doesn't
recommendation.
have, or I would say, and doesn't have enough information
And
to
does-
make a
okay.
decision.
Sorry.
This quoting.
Okay, so we are now,
That's the only funny thing I found.
okay, so, Are we ready for a vote? Any other discussion? Okay, do we have a motion? I think we need a
There's
motion.
a motion by Cheryl and Ken.
There was a motion to approve the minutes. I think now we need a motion to approve the minutes as amended, right?
I would think.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as amended.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Is that a substitute motion for the first motion?
I guess so.
Thank you.
Okay, so, now, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, so we're 5-0 on that.
But you can have what you want.
Hopefully I'm in the chair for you. That happened when we weren't
We had a vote today?
here. Yeah.
You missed it.
You missed it.
Why wasn't that announced in the last agenda that we were having a vote?
Because the council, after they reorganize, all the boards reorganize their next following meeting after their monthly reorganization. So we've been doing all the boards as they met this month.
Okay.
So this is a standard thing that goes on the agenda in April of every month, of every year, I'm sorry.
Okay, but you don't pre-announce it is what you said?
Well, it's sent out in the agenda, so.
Okay.
I said, it was in the agenda, it's an item in the agenda.
Sure, we can do that.
The boards are required.
Okay.
Unless Virginia wants to go.
Unless you want.
No, absolutely not.
Okay. Yes, now,
That's a policy of the councils, Virginia, that all the boards have to reorganize
okay, we
once a month.
have, the next item on the agenda is presentation by
Once a year.
our auditor, Terry Morton of Nolan, Colton Minor, and I'm going to turn it over to Terry to bring us up to date on the CAFR and your audit.
Okay, well, I'll keep this brief since was a clean audit. There isn't a whole lot different from last year. And just starting on pages 1 is our opinion. This is probably the biggest change is it went from 2 pages to 3 pages and it has headings now. So, and it's written a little bit in more English than accounting terminology than it used to be. So it's a little more understandable as far as what the auditor's responsibilities are and what management's responsibilities are. But again, as in the prior year, it's a clean or unmodified opinion, so it means everything's fairly stated in accordance with generally accepted accounting standards. And after the opinion is the MD&A, which is a good, probably 7 or 8 page overview of everything that's going on in the town. And then there were 2 new accounting standards that really didn't have that much effect on you other than on page 13. Fund balance and the name of the statement changed from net assets to net position. And the reason for that is GASB invented new terminologies for the balance sheet. It used to be you had assets and liabilities.
It's embedded, you're right.
And now some entities have what are called deferred inflows and deferred outflows, which used to be assets and liabilities, but now they're deferred inflows and deferred outflows. And currently, you don't have any of those, and you probably won't in the future. Right now, the only reason you would have that is if you had like derivative investments or interest rate swaps or something like that. But in the future, deferred revenue is going to fall under one of that. So like if you get a grant or something where you've got deferred revenue where you haven't earned it all, it's conceivable you could have a deferred inflow outflow. It's not very likely. And then starting on pages 15 are your fund level statements. And on page 15, as you can see, in the general fund, you've got about $700,000 in unassigned fund balance, and in the transportation fund, you've got about $9,000 available.
What page are you on?
15.
Page 15. Be 37, oh, okay.
36.
37 or 36 of your printed version.
Yeah,
Or 14 CAFR, but.
yeah.
36.
We don't have it.
Page-
Let's make sure we're all on the right page now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought we were on.
Agenda packet page is 36.
Right,
That's what we need. Okay, thank you. All right, now, could you repeat that, please?
Okay, so we're on
Page 15 of it.
page 36 of 178.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in the general fund, you had about $700,000 in unassigned fund balance. right around 900,000 in the transportation and 1.4 in your capital project fund at the end of the year. And then on the next page is the income statement for your governmental funds. And they all did have a surplus before transfers. And after that's the sanitation fund. And it had about 37,000 in cash and fund balance. And the net change is net position is right around 5,000 for the year, page 39 and 178. And that's really the, unless anyone has any questions, or will we have any management letter comments or weaknesses in internal control or anything like that? And there's something like 2 or 3 minor adjustment entries in the audit.
Do you do the statistical section, or is that done by town management and provided to you, or you do, town management does it? Okay.
Although Terry has help, but sometimes it's hard finding something else.
Okay. Do we have any questions for the auditor? No?
I'll just say that, good job.
Yeah. Yes, thank you.
Even, no negative comments, good.
Good job. And we
Good job.
appreciate your coming to
Good
this
work.
meeting, to talk to us. So that's important. And thank you very much.
Okay, and then also I got handed out, this is a letter that's required by auditing standards. And on the first page, it just talks about accounting practices, and we already discussed there were three new standards, and they don't really have any impact on your statement. And then if there weren't any significant misstatements, no disagreements with management. And on page 3, we just had one comment which wasn't significant enough for the audit report, but we still wanted to bring to your attention, and that's just, it's kind of IRS rules about how you treat compensation for elected officials. And that's kind of last year we had an agent visit one of our clients, and that's one of the things they looked at, is who they're issuing 1099s to.
Did you have any issues with the way those are being treated?
Well, different people read the rules and interpret it differently. When I read the rules, I think it says elected officials are, for W-2 purposes, they should be treated as an employee, and they should be getting to have a W-2 instead of 1099, but there are, a fair number of governments that do issue 1099s.
So you can do either way. You can do either way.
Unless they come in and say, don't do it that way anymore.
Yeah, we had them come to one of our clients last year, and that guy's opinion was it's always, elected officials are always W-2 employees. But, everyone
There's
has their
bigger
opinion.
cities than us that classify them as 1099ers.
Yeah, okay,
If they come in, then we'll fix it.
right.
Well, either way, when they come in, it'll just be back penalties.
Well, it's not, they
If
pay
They
those,
pay all the
choose to.
taxes.
they pay all the taxes.
No, I'm just saying, if there's an issue, there'll just be fines to resolve, and that'll be it.
Why would there be a fine? I mean, they pay both sides of the FICA. They pay the employee, their self-employment tax on,
Yeah, they get all their money, just when.
The government's looking for new and creative ways to make money.
Not joking.
Never be too confident they won't come in.
Well, you only issue, what, 5, 6?
65,000.
5 1099s, so if they do, it'll, you're way down on their list.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying, it's teeny tiny, it's a fine, and it's over and done with.
Well, the town doesn't feel like they have employees
Not unless they don't.
and they don't consider themselves employees.
And the concept. And I did speak with one of the members from the firm before we went in this direction.
Yeah, I mean, as long as we're issuing a 1099, the taxes are being paid, and that's, the town has done its job, I think. That's my opinion.
Agree.
Someone else may differ.
I'm not in favor of changing it right at the time.
I know the council might change it. We don't want, just puts an additional burden on the management team.
But Terry's got an obligation to bring it forward.
Yes, thank you, we appreciate it.
You did a good job.
Yeah, Madam Chair, I
Yeah,
would
we
like,
appreciate you bringing that to our,
I would like to say that Terry is always a pleasure to work with, and he is quick and timely, and I enjoy when we have to go through this process. And I just want to let you know, he's
And he
very,
has-
very good.
and he doesn't let you guys just,
No,
He's
No.
tough, he's very honest.
he's good and tough, and that's,
Yeah.
yeah.
I can tell the difference, the records, or especially the two management companies that go.
Yes.
That's dismal. I
Yes.
never have any trouble finding receipts or invoices now.
We have everything.
Got it organized. Thank you. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you. So you're gonna be there Monday or Tuesday?
We were,
May
Basic.
6th.
yes,
He's got it.
yeah, it's on my calendar.
Very good, sir.
So we have a contract with them for another 3 years?
I think it was
Extended?
Yeah.
It's-
3 with an option.
2 months? Well, see you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Thank you.
See you next year, Terry.
Thursday.
Have a safe trip.
Bye, Terry, thanks. All right.
He's got to go to North Carolina.
Terry, I hope you get that iPad.
Hey, you might want to tell them to hold out for the iPad Pro.
I don't want to use it this summer though, so I want to wait till November.
Okay, well, make sure you get the 64 gig.
Okay. We're moving on, I think, to item 5, new business, if there's no old business. Do I have a motion to approve the financial statements?
So moved.
Long Chu made the motion, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Cheryl seconded. Okay, discussion. It looks like we are on page 85. If anybody, are there any questions?
I just have a couple of clarifications on page 126 of 178. In the computer repair account, 519490, I know this is in February, but it just kind of, qualification fees town council.
Oh, yes, because this was the first year that the council, because they are receiving enumeration, have to pay a qualification fee. And that goes to the state of Florida, the Elections Commission.
Oh, okay.
What is the qualification fee?
It's a percentage of what their annual salary was, so it's $25.
Compensation.
Compensation. So it was $25, and that the council member, we only had one council member qualify, and so he wrote a check to the town, and then the town deposited it in our account, and then we wrote a check to the Elections Commission in Tallahassee.
And then hay sales, computer maintenance in the following computer
Well-
services, 519491.
Do you understand if there's lots of items on somebody's invoice, you know, they'll show up all of them on,
But that was for computer services though. Yeah, because hay sales went.
well, the $60 wasn't the qualification fee. I would have to go back to February because there could have been a charge for something.
Right. No,
I
that
don't
was-
understand why that's there.
No, that was clarified for me. The other one was the following account, the one down below it. Hay sales computer. You see that one where it says on computer services? It was a fee. I'm satisfied that that has to be the fee. It was a funny title. I know I get funny titles too, but the next one for computer services.
Let me just circle that, so I'll have to go back and
We
look.
you had the invoices, I think she has put the invoices on the finance committee page, right? Or the January ones on there?
Yeah.
So we could,
Bill,
I just
can you
want
find
to
that?
remind the members that if they have a question,
Especially this.
you can look them up.
He's gonna look it up
and get
right
the
now.
detail.
I was curious as to, computer maintenance was fine, it was hay sales, I didn't think we were.
Cheryl?
I didn't think the hay sales qualified as computer
Yeah, I was
maintenance.
wondering.
No, it's different things, but I don't know what computer maintenance invoice would have to do with hay sales.
Okay, so we're-
It could have been just a typo that was done when we were entering.
Or something, sometimes
That
I remember
was
the previous.
January of
bid.
2014. I know this is back, but I was like, wait a minute, I didn't.
It's on the January 10th invoices,
What you may have entered previous.
and it would be for $961.06.
Okay, all right, did anyone else have a question?
They just kind of stood out.
Well, how far, when you say financials, how far are we going? I mean, including things like cost, where are we going?
We're just, the financials is just the, all the
What page to
financial
what page?
statements. We do, it would not include the invoices, right up through the bank statement. Yeah, we do that all at one time, and, you know, if anyone has a question, we can separate it. It just goes fast, but anyone has a question about that. So much of it's repeated, you know, so we're gonna-
96106.
yeah, the approval is just for A, item 5A.
Bill, if you look
Which
at
would
the front
be-
of the packet, it had the report, the check run,
Okay. So,
and it has it by account number
Yeah,
is there another question? I have one, I can,
for
I want to ask.
519.
Mark,
Yes.
could you, bring me up to date, or bring the committee up to date on the situation with Waste Pro? It was, I believe, and specifically what I'm referring to is that we know that as a result of their poor performance, that we've been deducting from their invoice.
Correct.
And I think this came up in the last council meeting, you know, that we need to know or have some visibility, I think, as to how much we have been,
We've
what have
notated,
saved.
we can't put it down because it's not a revenue.
Right. No, I
So
know.
we've made a notation on the
Did you make
budget
a
to
note?
actual.
And where's that?
In the transportation fund, it's,
You mean the solid waste fund?
the solid waste.
I couldn't figure out how to do it.
No, that's fine. I just would like, you know, I think if it takes care of it, if we just note it somewhere so we can see.
Yeah, we could aggregate that
Because
for you.
I've been trying to look at, when you look at the budget versus actuals, we're at 47% on that account, and all the checks have been written to
I
Waste
think
Pro.
for the first 6 months of the year, it's like $25,000, but I can get you that figure.
Those, Waste Pro's behind on their billing, so, or their,
But we've paid 6 months. It looks like we've paid 6 months of
Right.
invoices, and we've had 6 months out of the year. So if they, the reason I was questioning it is I don't understand how the budget was developed, because it looks like we're only, we're at 47%. If you look page 6,
Page 6?
yeah. In other words, we've used up almost 50% of the budget with 50% of the year elapsed.
well,
So where's the 25?
I'm sorry, page 6 is my minutes. What,
Page 91.
91.
sorry,
91 of 178.
Sorry about that.
That's okay, no problem.
Yeah, if you just look at that line, you just don't see it, you know, so I was trying to figure out.
well, the budget is $415,000, and we've only paid Waste Pro $197,000.
Oh, so we are about
We-
20,000 short.
Yeah, yes.
Okay, all right.
This month, in this packet, at the very back, Waste Pro was fined only $600, but this is for their February billing,
Right.
so.
What page is the
The
number?
March billing was
Yes,
8,700. It was very
Is that-
substantial.
The last page of the packet, or the second to the last page, shows their February billing statement with the deduction of $600.
Okay, so, do we have anywhere in this packet a total of how much we've actually,
You know, I made a footnote, Bill, and it didn't pick it up when I didn't set the
We
margin.
can
Okay.
aggregate it
But
for
we-
you.
but you are doing it.
It's
Wait,
about
that's-
25,000.
Okay,
It's in that ballpark.
Okay.
There were a couple months that they were fined $8,000. There was a month they were fined, I believe, $3,100. And then 3 of the months they were fined in the $500 to $600 range. And It's almost $25,000.
Can you let us know what
I'll
is
send you
going
an
on?
email.
Well, I'd just like a verbal update on where we stand with that vendor.
Oh, sure.
Right now.
I can tell you that,
If
sure.
you don't mind.
Yes, we have contacted our attorneys and indicated to them the problem. And because the local office here started to, I don't want to say give us a hard time, but they were questioning our fines. And basically, I think we've been very fair. There are a number of areas that we can continue to fine them on, and that we've cut them some slack. So our attorneys contacted the corporate offices in Orlando
Okay.
and talked with the corporate counsel up there. And the solution at this point in time is going to be that the COO, his name is Chris Giacchio, I believe, is going to now be the rep. He's coming down here to
Okay.
review the local operations, but he's going to be our contact.
Great.
And I think the local folks may have tried to claim that it was a personality conflict. I believe that our waste monitor, I don't believe that to be the case. And
But you believe we have sufficient documentation for
Oh,
all the
absolutely,
fines that they're not going to be able to?
the issue, I think, and, Waste Pro approved the contract, they reviewed it. Our attorneys, at our request, made it much tougher than the original contract for the last 5 years. And pretty much, once you hit a 2% of all residential users, or a 0.5% in any one month, and you hit those thresholds are in place for the year. Well, Waste Pro did that in the first day. And we gave them a break, a good faith break, and said, there is now a no tolerance policy from this point on. Still within the first month, they passed the thresholds. So every time they commit a faux pas and don't pick up somebody's garbage, and they don't meet the requirements in the agreement by the next day, it's an automatic fine. And they're gonna be having to live with that. But there are other things that we
Is
know.
the shortfall caused by poor maintenance on the trucks or parts breaking down, or do you know?
Oh, a number of things. I mean, I think it was a manpower issue. I think at first they didn't bring in enough equipment when they started off, which is unexcusable because they've been our contractors for 5 years.
Well, right,
So, yeah,
Right.
I don't know why
like
this should have changed. We have a requirement, for example, you see that when we give you that email in every, monthly submission, where they are supposed to have a supervisor on the route. And our waste monitor checks that. Many times they don't even, supervisors in West Palm somewhere, or Jupiter Farm, so it's an automatic $100 fine.
Yeah.
And as I said, we're looking at a contract now, there are so many other ways we can find them. We're not looking to be punitive though.
Right.
I've told them, I'll be happy if you pick up our residents' garbage, no problem.
Yeah, we
That's what I'd
don't,
like to see, that's the bottom line.
yeah,
So,
we want the garbage picked up.
yeah, and so I think now that corporate is aware of it, I think we'll probably make improvements and, we'll move forward.
So how much approximately have we gleaned back?
It's close to about 25,000 over the first 6 months. And I'll send you an email with the exact figure tomorrow.
Yeah, okay. Do you think the service has improved?
Well,
Do you
this-
think there's still room for?
October and part of November it was atrocious. And then it got better through December and January and February, they were making improvements. And then in March, they went off the,
Deep in?
as I said, it was $8,700 that we claimed.
Yeah, okay.
And so now it looks like they're rebounding again, but you can't have the peaks and valleys, I mean, that's crazy. So,
Okay.
Okay.
I have a question on cost recovery.
Okay.
I guess I'm trying to find a page to look at, perhaps you can direct me, but I'm looking at page 97 of 178. It seems to be a nice little synopsis, unless there's another page that has more detail.
okay.
Okay.
On this, everything, we do that involves issues typically is cost recovery. And we had an issue come before the town council at the last meeting, and I'm wondering if that's gonna be a cost recovery issue as far as the encroachment detail that the town attorney spent time on reviewing? Will we be seeking cost recovery issue from the people?
No, that wasn't done as a cost recovery. You talking about the,
The people that,
yeah, the
That's
drain
not-
and drive issue with the?
right, where the
No,
town
that
attorney,
was not done as a cost recovery.
should that be done as cost recovery?
Well,
think
I
we
can
have
give you
to
the
town.
details behind that, and you can make it your
I don't
own.
want all the detail, I'm just wondering, I mean, usually when people come to the town, like Miss Drysdale here, you know, she's doing cost recovery on her issues.
Well, this wasn't an application, let me tell you what happened. You have to have the details to get an idea. What happened was, the gentleman came in and was looking to put up a fence, but there were issues.
Right.
And he paid for a zoning letter of interpretation, okay?
What does
We-
that mean when you pay for, what is the fee for?
$200,
Okay,
okay? We issued a zoning letter of interpretation.
okay.
Um,
Where would
It-
that fee appear? I'm just curious, following the fee structure, so
That would be under our permits and fees.
permits and fee, that's a
Yeah.
permitting fee, okay.
Okay. What happened was, our staff quoted the town attorney based upon some information the town attorney gave him in a phone call. The town attorney got upset that we quoted him, and we then got into a situation where the attorney said, well, okay, well, we're gonna take care of this now, and town management, you're out of it, which I took great umbrage over, because I didn't feel it was a totally legal matter. Just the fact that the gentleman got an attorney involved didn't necessarily put it into the legal realm yet. I mean,
Right.
it wasn't in court or anything. And I protested to the town attorney said, no, we're handling it. So,
Meaning that they're footing the bill for it on their,
no,
I mean,
no,
They were charged of.
you're footing the bill for it.
why are we footing the bill for it if staff didn't direct him to do this?
That's the question.
Well,
I
that's
was
what
not
I'm
happy, I was
asking.
not happy with it. I mean, we chose not to make an issue over it, but
Well, this is
basically
an
any
audit
fees
issue.
that were run up by the town attorney in dealing with that matter.
How much have you talked about?
Gee, I thought I do now.
Well, I'm
I
just
have to go back and
concerned
look.
that the attorney's setting a precedent is what I'm concerned about in
I
the
was
future.
very upset about it. I felt that town management needed to be involved in the matter. And, I don't really think the town attorney has the authority to just override town management and say, no, we're gonna handle it. Unless it's truly a legal matter and they're in court defending us or something. So. But it wasn't a cost recovery matter. It was simply a case of, we received the money for the letter, and then they were billing us under town attorney.
And have those bills come through? Yeah, have we been presented with those bills in here?
I think we should have
The
everything.
council, the town attorney's invoices are approved by the town council at town council
And
meetings.
they're in all
Those
the
are not
percentage
for,
of every
Well,
town.
that's fine. As a citizen, I will be objecting to that. Irregardless of my position on this committee, I think what construction guys have gotten to me, Ken, I know you correct me all the time,
I'm
really
sorry.
strongly.
Hmm?
Where does the town attorney get to supersede town management? That is,
But I guess, I don't know, I'd like to ask a question for clarification, because I'm not sure I'm clear. What initially happened was that you issued a zoning letter,
Mhm.
and I'm not sure, and how did the town attorney become involved in that at all? I
No,
don't think she did.
the staff planner who was doing the research
Right,
before they issued the letter talked with the town attorney.
oh, he talked with the town attorney, is that
And he
standard?
used the
Is that-
information the town attorney gave him in the letter. The town attorney was upset that his name was mentioned in the letter,
Oh, okay, but is
which I
it,
don't
is
understand
it
why that's such a big
customary, is
deal.
it customary for staff to call the attorney in? and-
Well, when we need him, sure.
With regard to the issuances?
Yeah, yeah.
I just, my question is, are we collecting enough of a fee for that to cover attorney fees if we need the attorney?
that's what that was my initial premise.
Right.
And then as this discussion escalates, it's very troubling.
Yes, I agree.
But it's difficult to see how, when we can bill cost recovery in this case, because the client was quoted a fee, which he paid,
But
No,
it was
you're
for-
not.
he came in to get a permit to
Right.
put up a fence.
Yeah, it's not a cost
That-
recovery
that
matter.
is-
The $200 is
Okay.
just meant to defer the cost of providing the zoning letter, that's all.
Right, right.
Okay, let me ask the question. He wants a permit to put up a fence. How about if he didn't come in and ask for the permit to start off with? Was he breaking the law?
No, I mean, it's his prerogative to come in on, you know,
Is he breaking the law?
no.
He's not. Okay, if somebody makes a change to the property, don't they need a permit? Isn't that an ordinance?
But he didn't make a change. He was trying to determine if he could get the approval to make the change. This fence still isn't up. It'll probably be the subject of continuing battles, I'm
So
sure.
initially, one, I was trying to find out, one, if it was a cost recovery issue, and two, how the attorney was granted so much time on this issue. And now I understand, which, as I said, I will be, as a citizen, making a comment. I find it very troubling.
The town management company, let me put this the right way, we chose not to make a major issue out of this. That we could have. And I did have some words with the town attorney. I felt the action was inappropriate. You don't dismiss us out of the way, and you use it's a legal matter and take over the issue. Because it was a zoning letter. The only legal aspect about it was the gentleman got an attorney.
Right.
That's all. It wasn't in court, it wasn't,
Which it ended up being a civic matter anyway.
yes.
Okay.
I think it's fair to bring it up to the attorney that we disagree with the practice to get involved without prior approval, unless this is a health emergency issue that they need to take action. Because their time is our cost, like Virginia said. So I would like to see how much their bills will be related to that subject. And then when it brings to the finance committee next time, and then we discuss it with a comment for the town to,
Tomorrow, in the same memo that I give you the aggregated costs on, I'll be happy to give you that as well.
and
We
we
can
can
do it on,
big comment that advise the council to consider either not paying it or making an exception to give them some warning not to proceed at their own, at our cost.
So, is it the consensus of the committee to ask Mark to provide more information for next time so we can really get a handle on exactly what happened? And see the scope and the size of it, and then we can formally report to the council.
And
And
the
it's
other
like,
thing, the other thing we could,
We've got to watch the finances of the town.
Right,
You
right,
can't
right.
just go
So,
in and
we can do
say
it
he's gonna take over.
And it sets legal precedent also,
Yeah.
that's the second issue.
and then also we could all, ask to have some kind of procedure to process in the future if they decide to spend some hours at our cost, there should be a process
Mhm.
under certain conditions that they could go ahead. Otherwise, they should ask for prior approval of the town management so that you don't have to get your blood pressure high because of his self-motivation.
Yeah, I would like, I mean,
That's
just,
a good way of putting it.
you know,
That was a very good one.
I would appreciate it if in the next agenda pack you could put a copy of the zoning letter as well as any other
Oh, sure,
relevant
yeah.
documentation that you have, so that we can really get the whole picture on this. and
sure.
See,
And also, we want to put it as, this is a subject having to be discussed by the committee rather than the management, because I don't want to put the management in the
right.
time.
Yeah, this is being discussed by the committee. And it's- Okay.
When a person comes in for, question, when a person comes in for a permit, you got, in this this case, I think you said you got a $200, fee. Do you give them any kind of paperwork that says, this fee is for this work, et cetera, et cetera? But in there is a disclaimer that says any additional legal fees will be charged to you.
Well, let me explain how the zoning
Yeah,
law
okay.
works.
All right.
Generally, if somebody comes in and they have an issue, say they're proposing a use that isn't covered by the code, or it has extenuating circumstances where either the planner or myself or anybody who's handling it cannot answer the question up front without additional research and review,
Right.
that's when we suggest to the person, look, you need to give us a letter requesting an interpretation letter. Tell us exactly what you want to do, because it's all dependent, it's case intensive, it's dependent upon the particulars and the facts
Right.
of what somebody wants to do. They give us that, it's a $200 charge, that's to defray the costs of our time in putting it together.
Correct.
And sometimes it could be, it's just a little more research, but sometimes it could take a lot more research, depending on what the issue is. And generally they understand that. That's why we issue the letter. The letter is, at that point, is our opinion, and we stand by it. So if we told somebody they could do something, we're saying they could do it. We're not gonna pull that approval back and say, oh, no, you can't do that.
Right. Right.
And that gives the person coming in the ability to move forward and not feel like they're taking a chance now because they have the position from the town as to how we're viewing that particular situation.
But what I'm saying to
Comfort, I
cover,
guess is what I was
to
looking for.
cover this
Yeah.
thing that is escalated, should there not be a little statement in there that says, you've got your, everything covered, that says if additional research is needed, but should it not contain something about not only additional research, but legal advice or something to get that wording in there so that,
So that they know this is
But
all.
that was not a legal advice.
yeah.
That was not legal advice.
And we stood by our interpretation. Our interpretation was based
But I
upon.
mean, if you have to get more legal advice.
He went and got his own legal advice. He went and got his own attorney, and his attorney wrote a letter to the town.
Okay.
That's how it evolved.
That's how Mike Cirillo got involved in, because of the letter that was written to him.
But the original point of contention was Braden spoke with Mike.
Yeah.
Mike gave him the advice. Braden used that advice in part to prepare the letter, plus he also had some input from Jim Fleischman. It was a good letter. The problem was when the attorney saw the letter and another attorney got involved, he recoiled and didn't like the fact that we used his input. Which I don't know what the big deal is because I count on my attorney to stand by whatever he tells us.
So if you tell me the sky is red and I write a letter and I said, Elise said the sky is red and we agree with that,
It's very bad.
and then you read it later and you go, no,
I don't think this.
that's, it has to be a certain level of communication, and we trust that you're telling me it's red. I believe you're telling me it's red, so I'm gonna put it in the letter that says it's red.
And if you don't want us to make a mistake, if you think we're interpreting something incorrectly, then put it in writing.
Correct.
Not hard to do. I mean,
Right. Or request a review of the document before presenting it.
but we can't be in a position of, okay, we talked to you, you tell us something, but then you won't stand behind it, and if we quote what you just said, even though we're not using your name, oh, I didn't tell you that. I mean, we can't operate that way. That's,
It's not the first time it's happened, trust
It's
me.
about the encroachment, wasn't it, on a fence,
No,
on a public
not
road?
Mike, but
Right, but,
Major told us.
right, but the point was, as my concern was the attorney just free rein issue and trouncing over, that was my concern in the legal precedent it sets.
yeah, I was not.
Well, there are a lot of issues, yeah. That's a
Yes,
good one.
there's several issues in there.
So I think we'll have that on the agenda the next time, and thank you for
Sure.
bringing that up.
Madam Chair, can I respond to the earlier question regarding the 961 hay sales?
Oh,
Computer
yes.
repair? We actually purchased a computer
Oh, look at the
We did,
invoice.
got reimbursed, and did laptop repairs and services to be able to do the video and sound and all. So he got a new computer, it's in there, and we repaired the laptop so we could use it. That may be it.
So she gets the old laptop?
So the hay sales was just,
No,
Well, what
no.
happens is that there was a work authorization for hay sale, the ULDC hay sale.
oh, okay.
And so when she's putting it in, she puts in hay sale and.
There was several items on that invoice. One of them was a computer purchase,
Okay.
one of them was a
It was
computer
part of the
repair,
original invoice.
and one of
that's
them
why-
was the ULDC charges for the hay sales.
Okay.
And they all show up.
She
Okay,
charged it to the correct account. The
Right.
language appears to be,
That's why I didn't think case sales and computer maintenance are,
Okay.
unless they're making computers out of hay now, which who knows?
that's new.
Cutting edge.
It's called the hay now.
Okay, now, so are we, is that all the questions? Or do
That's
we
all
have
I
any more
have.
questions? Okay, so, we have a motion and a second for approval of the financial statements. I'm gonna call a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the motion, passed 5-0. Okay, next item is 5B, review of planning and zoning invoices, page 139. Does anybody have any questions on any of the invoices?
Okay, stop.
139.
One thirty.
I got this bill when, let's see, prep. So when we look at cost recovery, this is a good example, it's a current issue, seemed to go very quickly. So when we see processing of amendment, the 5 hours times 125, and we look at the next page, this is the 5 hours, prep mailers, prep posted notice, staff report. That does say legal at the end, I mean, but this covers the legal expense of the issue.
No,
No, no,
no,
it wasn't
legal
legal.
expenses billed separately.
Yeah, that comes in.
Okay, the legal expense is billed separately, and she'll pay a cost recovery for that.
Which it's included in her total cost recovery. I think
Okay, I was
she's,
just wondering, because it looked like it said legal, that's why, it looked like it
No.
was a little scribble, it said legal,
no.
and the 3 hours.
Oh, he did the legal notice for the
Okay, that's
newspaper,
what that
not,
is, legal notice,
Yes.
okay, because, yeah,
Yeah.
thank you. I was like, boy, that's pretty cheap.
no.
All right. Legal notice.
Okay. All right, other questions on planning and zoning invoices? No? Okay, so we can move on then to item 6, administrative updates, and I'll turn it over to Mark. Page 3. And your updates, starting on page 143.
Well, what we have is the draft FY 15 budget year calendar, preliminary budget calendar. And then we have provided you with an updated RFP relative to the software as a service RFP. This is based upon the input that we received from council. We also have on page 170, starting on 172, what we've included is an assessment of town roads.
Can we just take them individually?
Oh, I'm sorry, okay.
I'm sorry. Did
Okay.
anybody have any questions on the RFP, item A, or any questions? I think it's easier to take these as separate items,
Sure, that's
and
fine.
just get questions and then move on to the next one.
Okay.
That went
We
out.
started off with the budget calendar then?
That's okay, we can start with the budget. Does anybody have any questions on the budget calendar? And if there's none, then I did not have any, but, Virginia.
Well, just as I'm new to some of this stuff here, the preliminary property tax base available, that's a report that's available to the town from the, when you say
We'll
that,
get a letter from the property appraiser.
and that is what you're.
Right now, the property appraiser is telling us we'll probably have figures provided by May 28th.
Do you have a preliminary on that yet?
Yeah,
How does it look?
well, before I tell you the number, let me just
Warn
warn
you.
you.
Warn
Warn you.
Here we go.
Based upon last year's experience, when
Uh-huh.
every year, the Palm Beach City County Managers Association has a standing meeting with Gary Nicholas where he comes and provides us the information at one of our monthly luncheons and gives us the preliminary. We got it last Friday, and I will tell you, last year, when we got the preliminary numbers, we were in the top 10 cities for increase.
Yeah.
Positive.
No, we were in the top 10 for decrease last year.
No, this is the preliminary.
Oh, the preliminary.
I'm sitting there feeling very good because we're in the top 10 cities with increases.
Okay.
9% increase.
When the real numbers came out later in that last May, that's when we were one of only 4 cities that experienced a decrease.
And we were way on the bottom.
Now, having given you that information, I can tell you at this point in time, they are telling us that we are showing a 5.37% increase.
Which is scary.
Which, yes,
But don't,
so.
But we have no idea if there's any
Yeah,
real.
we don't, they will tell you, they don't, you know, those numbers are gonna change, it's very preliminary,
Yeah.
don't bank on it, don't count on it, so it's.
Okay.
But that's one hell of a swing from 9% up to 6% down.
it could be 5% up to 8% down.
But,
But
yeah.
that would be an improvement.
Well, as we cycle through the foreclosures, that's going to affect the values.
Yeah. Okay. Any questions on the RFP, item B? Does anyone have any questions on that, or, it's already, you said it's already gone out, yeah?
Can I say that on the 1.0 project overview, we included, the committee had requested 2 things. One was that we give the vendors a reflection of our town and the size, our budget. That's been included. And the other thing is, Mr. Johnson had requested that we have information from those vendors. So, because it's blocked out here, I don't know what page it's on, but it's under section 5.2 contractor information, where we asked about their history, about how many municipal clients they've serviced, how many that are our size, what their financial status is, and a lot of information about the contractor. And those were incorporated into those specs as well.
And where was this posted?
This is on our website. It was advertised in the Palm Beach Post twice. We put it on via.com, and we've sent out and we've received responses, positive responses, and making requests from 16 vendors.
Wow.
Wow.
So we open on the 23rd of May.
Is there going to be a committee for that, or is that something that
It's
you
coming to
decide?
us, one.
Come to us.
No, I mean, like we did for the Waste Pro thing, is there going to be something?
Oh, you mean like a working committee?
Right.
We haven't
Yeah,
discussed that
decided
yet.
No, you're just gonna bring it to the next finance committee meeting.
Make every one of us open up a few envelopes, so you're going to pass them out here.
Oh, well, anyone can, the bid opening is public, and anybody can go that wants to go. If there's someone from the finance committee that wants to attend,
I
then
hope we get half a dozen like that.
people that go over there.
We did get a response from SunGuard saying they were opting out. They're a big operation.
We're a little smaller than we're used to dealing with.
Ken said he will attend the opening of the bid.
We have a representative at the public.
We have it scheduled to come to the Finance Committee on May the 27th for the selection of the software by the Finance Committee.
They may not be able to see.
We have a representative.
It might be you.
Well,
Okay, is there going to be
I'm gonna keep my damn mouth shut.
a condensed version? I imagine reading all of this, I mean, obviously some of these papers pertain to the different, and we're going to get the whole
And you
thing.
know, these dates
All right, so
are
we better
preliminary
pack
and they
copies.
could change, and the council wanted to fast track this, and this is a fast track. So there might not be enough time between the 23rd and y'all's meeting on the 27th. We might have to schedule something in between
Okay.
after that. Depending on how much information we receive.
Yeah.
Not the weekend of July 4th, that will be.
Okay. All right, so now,
The next
the
item,
next item is,
page 172, is the preliminary assessment of town roads. And this is something that was done by Charlie Underwood and in conjunction with Steve Yo.
Yes.
You want to tell them about it, or?
Yes,
Um,
please.
Yes, we did it too. We did it separately, and then we took both of our assessments and put them together as one. We were just looking at the conditions of the roads, just so we could have an idea, trying to assess which roads are very needy of work, which ones are doing okay, and which ones are really good. And a lot of places, we were real close together, and so when we see the rankings over here, the first one is by the Loxahatchee Groves Town, and then the slash on the second ranking would be from the Water Control District on those specific roads.
What do your rankings mean?
Meaning 1 is good and 5 is bad. I didn't make that notation. And I think we
so the
received,
threes are the ones that.
we
you know,
received, one of the roads was ranked bad by both groups, and that was Ian Trail.
It's a dirt road.
Well, these are all the town roads. Now, all we're looking at is the town roads. And the district does an assessment of the lettered roads, but these were the town roads. And some of them already have asphalt and speed humps on them. Some of them were excluded because they're being removed at the request of the owners. Some of them need rock material, and some of them, and which was very important, have drainage problems, meaning they're obstructing their drainage, like on Compton Road, and those have been notated as well.
Okay,
Yeah, Ian Trail is a 5.
Why?
And
Yeah.
why is, what were the reasons for that?
I know this road well, I'm curious.
Which road?
Ian Trail?
As compared to the other roads in the town, Ian Trails is one of the worst roads we have.
It's a long road, it's very narrow, it's got we've had it hedged one time, actually twice, I think.
I didn't go down that road. I didn't feel comfortable going down that road.
It's got some major dips, you have to be careful when you're driving it.
Right, it's got some major
it's-
dips, which I question how they've been grading it, but won't go there.
Is this
And
something?
there's only one resident on the road, it's all the way in the back.
Well, there's two houses back there.
What?
Okay,
So why are you saying it needs rock? Though? That's what
I'm not saying it needs rock. I ranked it a number 5, and so did the district.
What are the residents writing?
The district stated it needed rock. I didn't feel comfortable going. I went down every road. I didn't feel comfortable going down that road.
okay.
That day I was there. I've been down it before. When we did the cleaning and the hedging, I don't know, it seemed real soft. It was like sand the day I was there, and it just didn't look compacted, and I was really worried about going down that road. Compared to the other roads, Quail is the best road in the town. Quail. It is got completely asphalt. We don't grade that road. We don't do anything to it. They keep their drainage. It looks like a park. We have a couple other ones that have speed humps and asphalt. 13th Place out off of F Road is one of those. There's a couple more.
What is this, 147th Avenue North off C Road to North Road? It's at 1 and 1, and it says possible grant funding.
Oh, I wrote that. Well, this is you were talking about grant funding for roads, and I'm not talking about Tiger grants. I was talking about community development block grant.
CRA, or?
No, through Palm Beach County, and I identified several roads that it's very hard to ask for funding for for roads where there's 5-acre lots and 10-acre lots. But some of these roads were regular house lots, like San Diego. There's several of these type of roads in the town. And just recently, when the school came to make the presentation for the donation, she mentioned that Loxahatchee Grove, 60% of their children are on a free lunch program. So for community development programs, that could be a big sell for our community on getting some funding. And we identified several roads, and they're listed here as identified for possible funding, that we could try to present those roads. Not that doesn't exclude the other ones, but I think if we have a good chance, it's probably those roads that
But it's nice to find a source, as everyone keeps questioning why management isn't looking for sources, and here you are, looking for sources of funding.
I tell you, the other night when they mentioned that statistic about the school and the children that attend the school and the 60%, I wasn't aware that there was that much, what does she call it, Title I school.
I think Sonoma Ridge is the same way.
I didn't realize that, and I had been thinking about community development, but I just thought with the 10-acre lots and the 5-acre lots, you know, it
You'd
was
be
going to.
considered a rich community.
Yes, you know, it's a little different than.
When you look at the median on the census though, it's pretty high for,
Yeah.
which is weird, and then we have.
Well, there are, as well as I can remember from the maps the CERT team used to look at possible, you know, if we had an event that we had to activate for. It was either 5 or 7 densely populated areas in Loxahatchee Grove. It looks like to me, and you've got a couple of those listed here, looks like to me we need the rest of them on this list.
Right now, yes, that's a good point. There's a road off of North Road. There's a little, I don't know the name of it, you may have it on here. That's another little, you know, all these people who took their lots when they could get away with it and had mini PUDs without the PUD officially being approved.
Would it be Flamingo and Paradise?
I don't know, I'm looking at the name.
No, they're not off North Road.
It's off North Road.
That would be
Are they?
147th.
147th is off of North. These are off of C Road to
Right.
North Road, so I don't know from
Flamingo and
Okeechobee all the way to
No,
North.
there's a little road right off North Road between C and B. I'll get you the name, or I'll check and see if it's on your list,
Okay.
since that's what the focus is.
Let me give you an example of a road. Is KZ Road?
KZ.
KZ.
Casey.
I listed it as a 3. I thought it was probably 2.5. The district had it as a 4. Half of that road, when you're going down, they're where their swell and their vegetation is beautiful, and then you get to a section where it's just as grown up as Compton Road, you know. So there's some notice. There's those discounted. So while I thought KZ was a pretty good-looking road, some of their vegetation on the swell where the drainage might be impacted might have reduced the number, you know, made it higher, you know, but there was a lot of roads, and that's what we were looking at on the vegetation. I was comparing it to the problem that there is in Compton, and there are several roads within the community that if we had a really bad storm, they are so overgrown in those swells that they probably would have a problem.
Well,
And that would be important as well.
So what are we gonna do with this document?
Well, remember when we were trying to, the council was gonna have a meeting, and they decided to postpone this item again. I thought this is what Steve and I were trying to work on, an assessment of the town roads, just so we could say this is where we are with the town roads. Do you need to look at them? I mean, is there, you know,
I think it also served as a check while we were also looking at the roads from the gas tax standpoint as well.
yeah.
Oh, yes, because you have, no, is that what excluded me? What does excluded mean?
Those were, when I was doing my, my pass-through, this was going through the council. Jewel Lane, Shamrock, Fortner had requested they be taken off, so when I put excluded, I didn't go because those were being removed.
Okay, so that's what you mean when you go that way.
Yes.
Well, how are we going to come up with cost? Oh, Ken, did you have a question?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Not a question, I've got a statement to make. Not throwing rocks at what you
Yeah.
and Steve have done,
Right.
but I think if I'm interpreting what you've tried to do here is make the roads look the way you evaluate them on the day you did it. But on the day you did it, was it raining? Was it the day after a downpour?
Come on down.
In other words, what I'm saying,
I know it was. I evaluated them, I've evaluated them for 6 straight days. So of those 6 days, 2 of those days, we had major rains and there was mud puddles in certain places.
okay, because I have seen some roads after a heavy rain that you could lose a Sherman tank.
Ken, the point of this was to give the council an overview
Okay.
of, are all the roads in deplorable conditions, or do they all need to be hedged, or is the drainage bad on all the roads? So we went through, and we took a lot of time, and looked at those items. I think overall, the town roads are in pretty good shape. There are some that need attention, of course,
Okay.
but not all of them. And I
Okay.
think that's a positive. The council needs to know that because they're not going down every road. So at least they have an idea of, if we're going to do the improvements going forward, there are some roads that are doing pretty good, and if the residents like it that way, we could tweak it and make some changes, but they're not something that needs to be addressed. It's an immediate address. And I think that's what we were
Yeah,
trying to do.
okay, I think maybe you should just down at the bottom of this thing, put down that, when the evaluation was done,
The dates.
Okay,
it was these dates, and
Okay.
these dates were
You know,
raining.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, so,
Conducted over 6 days.
yeah, and, because, when I looked at this, I said, what were the weather conditions?
Also, I see a road that's missing, I just want to bring to your attention because the district just started working on it around last December. That you might want to monitor is 143rd off of Collecting Canal. I don't see that on here.
is it Collecting Canal and,
143rd.
what's the intersect, what letter road would it intersect with Collecting Canal, the closest one?
Well, if you come off Folsom,
Oh, okay.
It's,
Folsom and Collecting Canal. Maybe, let's see.
Folsom to Collect-
I don't think it's 131st. Again, I will check on both those 2 roads to make sure I'm giving you correct information, Perla. And I'll get back to you, the one off North Road and the one off Collecting Canal.
And it's 140,
I thought it was 143rd. You have 131st on here. I know it's a few roads in, and I call it without a map, we have so many different numbers and roads out here.
well,
We all need maps and we've lived here forever.
what we did was we took the maps, and they also, in the district, took their roads, and they do it by district. I don't,
well,
Now, you do have 131st Terrace North on here, but like I said, I will go and look and check and get you that.
I know where you're talking about, man.
It's off, you come in off Folsom on Collecting Canal,
Right.
and it's about 2 or 3 roads in, and it turns north.
There's like
2 little
3
houses.
roads in there.
Yeah.
is it like where Hyde Park, Rackley?
No, that's too far west.
Yeah.
This is for the east.
Okay, that's fine. No, I'll get that to you, because I personally know that the district has started maintaining that, and it'd be good for you to watch that road.
143rd.
Is there consensus on the council for that the town is paying for drainage at this point on town roads? I mean, did we pay for it on Compton?
Mhm.
Then,
We've been paying.
Well,
then we are doing it.
as it relates to the road repair contract, I've made the determination if the drainage is related to the integrity of the road, yes,
Okay,
and that's eligible, but I don't want that to become so commonplace that, because really the road repair contract is, potholes, sections that wear away and quick repair, not to, start doing drainage, road projects based upon drainage.
but I mean, when we have, I know what's happened in the past, when you have drainage on a road, that you have like vegetation blocking drainage, the water control district has taken care of that, during a hurricane as a matter of emergency. Because you get the road, people can't get out, and so the water control district will go over there to do it. I don't know how, what we're going to do with the information about drainage, because I'm not sure if the town is ready or even has the legal ability to take that on. I don't know.
I don't know why we would. They're a drainage district. That's the one thing they need to be doing.
But they're not, no, they have no responsibility on the town roads, so they're responsible for drainage. Water control district is responsible for drainage after it gets to the canal. Every property owner is responsible for getting, their water to the canal. They're not responsible for drainage on private property. And the only circumstances under which they will undertake that is during a flood as an emergency in a public service. But supposedly,
Don't get me started, Lisa, on that. Don't get me started.
I'm just saying, I'm trying to
Can you point that out to us in terms of where that says that? Because I've always questioned that. To me, it's a drainage basin, and it should be,
read their section, what is it, 298? They only have authority on the district roads to do maintenance and repair. That's their only authorities for the canals and the roads that are designated as
Okay.
district roads.
well, if you give me that, I'll take a look at that. Because
Originally we were set up as 20-acre tracts, and on my property, I'm responsible for getting all the water from my property down to the canal. They have nothing to do with coming on my property and making sure that, if I'm flooded, and I have an original 20, but
I would agree with that, but what you
Yeah.
said was town, where you talked about
there's,
town roads and areas like that, that's,
they have not got any legal responsibility. They did not assume any when those roads were subdivided. They took, back in the 70s or the 80s, the county allowed these properties to be subdivided into 1-acre tracts, and there were, or less. And there were quite a few that did that. But the district, as I understand it, did not assume any responsibility for that. Now, if you want documentation on it, you can talk to Steve, and he can tell you, the statutory references.
I can say that on the Compton Road, the easement was a 60-foot easement, and I know that the district did not take responsibility for maintenance of that road when they accepted it from the county, but when the town accepted that 60-foot, the road is 30-foot. That swale that we're discussing that the town's fixing is within that 60-foot that we've taken responsibility for. If you look at the other roads that have drainage problems with the swell right beside it, that to me are mirror images of Compton Road. If you look at the size of the road and then the easements on those roads, the swale sits within those dedications. If the town has assumed responsibility for all those roads, that swale sits within that easement of responsibility. I don't know how the town's going to address that.
I don't either.
But the town did take responsibility for the maintenance of those roads, and that swell on Compton sits in that 60-foot.
but then again, prior, it was the district.
But they didn't take responsibility
I
for
understand.
any of the
The district
maintenance.
never accepted.
But that big
Oh,
piece
they did
of
on
culvert
They did
that goes
accept
underneath Compton,
Yes, they
underneath
did.
F Road, has to be the district's responsibility.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you understand that? On F Road at Compton, that big culvert that goes underneath F Road, that goes
Right.
into that F Road canal, you would think that would be a district responsibility, that culvert. because they have to allow it into their canal. I don't know who's responsible for that big culvert.
Well, I'll give you an example on Collecting Canal. Our property drains water off of Collecting Canal Road onto our property, then it goes through a culvert into the canal, Collecting Canal. Alrighty? That pipe is shot in my estimation. So I went to Cleat prior to Steve Yowie being on board and said, hey, the pipe's shot, can you send somebody out and take a look at it to verify, da. Oh yeah. They sent somebody out and they looked at the pipe. Yeah, you need a new pipe. They wanted me to pay for the pipe, and he said as a courtesy, they would dig the trench and insert the pipe that I had to buy. Now, I don't buy that. Yes, it is draining some of my property, but it's also draining the road. If they're responsible for draining the road, why aren't they paying for the whole thing?
Because to add to that, I went through the same thing, and what we explained to Cleet Sonye several times over and over, due to the illegal diversion onto private property by the water district, onto private land, not into drainage areas, we asked them to cease and desist, which they did. And we said we would accommodate them by allowing them to drain water from the road into our culvert, but, and so that it could drain out into the canal. But I will be putting a backflow device on my culvert, because canal water will not be backflowing into my property.
I think that is that not an item to take up before the water control district? Ken?
Well, that's very true.
Well, we're talking about maintenance and
I
drainage.
mean, I
I
know
never
that
got to talking about the drainage thing, and I was just citing an
when I
example.
called Clete, he told me to come down and get a permit for the culvert, and that the district would, provide, I don't even remember, no, he didn't even tell me that they would do any work on it at all. I had to buy the pipe, and he told me to call my next door neighbor.
Surprised he didn't make you sign on the land.
But we are actually doing it now, and
But
we're
it's-
paying for the pipe.
But it's an important issue, though, that I think that is brought up as the town takes over the roads and the maintenance and the drainage. And the important issue here, I think, is that in the past, there have been some practices in the Waxahachie Water Control District, possibly its staff or our road staff or crew, that we do not, residents will not expect the town to engage in. And it's a very serious issue, so whatever we can find out of the town's responsibility for drainage and maintenance is very important to the residents, as well as what the financial burden will be.
Let me ask a question about maps. Do we have a town map that includes every road in this town? You're shaking your head yes, but I don't know when that was as of, and the assessments on each side of the road.
We would not have that.
We wouldn't have that.
You wouldn't have that.
No.
We have the gas
Also
tax
depends how
maps
you
that
define
show
road.
all the roads within the town that are claimed as for gas tax purposes to the county and the state of Florida. So we have a map of the whole Waxahachie Groves, our boundaries, and it has all the town's roads and all the district's roads in that map.
Okay.
And it's sitting in Mark's office right there on the wall
And
when you walk
when was
in.
that dated as?
We get one every year.
We also have a base map that Sue got from the county, remember
Yeah.
that? That's,
A smaller
Yeah,
version of it.
yeah.
We have
Well,
a,
the only reason why I'm asking, at one time, this was about 5 years ago, the water district had two maps. They did not match each other.
well, this is not the water control district's
Okay.
map. This is
Alright.
the map that the county uses to allocate our lane miles, and that is updated every
I
year.
looked at 5 different maps, including county map, GIS maps.
Now, this is,
None of them match.
well, this is every road on the town that's on the
Okay.
gas
I'm
tax
glad
are
we
on that
got
map.
Thank
And
you.
everyone that's removed, that's why we do it every year, so
Right.
now we're gonna have 4 roads removed this year.
Okay.
What I remember from all of this road maintenance and drainage discussion was, I believe it was almost a year ago when Bill was bringing up, or even a year and a half ago, Bill was bringing up, yes, the importance of really looking at the town as a whole as far as drainage.
Oh, I did say something.
Yes, you did.
I don't
Time's
have anything
getting,
to say about it. It was a good concept.
It's a problem.
It is a good concept, and I still believe that work needs to be done. This may be one of the few municipalities, do you get an NPDES permit, or does the district get an NPDES?
They want us to, it's coming.
Yeah. When you start having to get an NP, that's a
Why do we
national,
have to get
that's a
that?
non-point pollution discharge permit
From the town?
for the town.
We're the only municipality that doesn't have it right now.
When that
Really?
happens, yeah, you're gonna,
That's a lot of money, isn't it?
the permit's not, fixing everything is.
Yes.
Yes.
Pollution discharge.
Non-point pollution discharge. permit.
time to look for grant.
That, but still, the drainage, I am kind of shocked that there are not quote-unquote basins within the 8,000 acres that the town encompasses. In little old Belgrade, I think there's 3 or 4 basins, and that's only 4.5 square miles. This is almost 12, 3 times that. And control district there, they handle all the drainage. I mean, I guess the city does put some drainage into, for road, but not major drainage problems.
Well, don't we have to leave a mandate about drainage into the C-51 within the next couple of years?
I think that's a district issue
That's right.
until the NPDES comes.
South Florida Water Management is gonna be overseeing that, so they probably will be dealing
I
with
don't
the
know.
district.
NPDES goes through the state and the feds. That's not really so much a South Florida water district.
It's a federal issue. And we're not ready to tackle it
Okay. So, this is gonna be presented to the council?
Well, not yet.
Not yet.
This is just a work, this is preliminary. I know the council thought we were gonna go hire engineers and do these massive expensive assessments. We don't need to do that. We can go out as 2 organizations, and that's what we did. And just look at what we have and come to some understanding. And that's what Steve and the town were trying to do together jointly. It didn't cost the town or the district any money.
It
And
should.
it give you an overview of where we are right now on these
It's worth a
roads.
lot of money.
It is worth a lot of
I
money.
don't know, how many repairs I have to do on her gate?
I had a good time.
It's spread it off, tax deduction.
She needs a new car anyway.
No, she does not.
All right.
No, but I told Mark after I came out, after the 4th day, I got onto the pavement and my car went like this when I hit the brakes. And I thought it was the dust.
I had that same effect today.
No, the dust tends to keep you on the pavement.
Not to bring up
Depending
anything
on how much
else,
dust
but,
you've got.
and I know it's not our road to be concerned with in one sense of the word, but in another it is. How many of you have noticed on Okeechobee that the pavement is beginning to break up?
Or that it goes like this?
In other words, it's got cracks in it, that if you get into those cracks, you're
But where?
on Okeechobee. Look at it. Look at it.
Oh, really?
It's beginning to break up.
It's called traffic calming.
Unplanned traffic. Unintended consequence.
Giving you the eye on that one.
You need to just take a look at it, be aware of it.
Wow. No, I actually am on Okeechobee every day, and I haven't done it, but I will now.
Take a look at it.
I notice it every time I drive to Center Ridge.
Oh.
It's pretty much right, right around, just as you turn onto Okeechobee, right by the Red Barn. I noticed there's a patch there, there's some by B Road.
But if you're going west on Okeechobee, when it's getting ready to sun to set, and look at the road, you can get a lot of light on the road. You can see the traffic lane in there, and you can see where the thing is beginning to ripple out, you know. So it's, you know, that road is in not good shape.
Okay.
The best part of the road, Ken, is right down there by Seminole Pratt where they just redid it.
That's kind of right.
So are we
It's
ready?
got all those
I
lovely
think-
little lanes.
I think we're ready, if there are no more questions on this, to move on to fines, and I think we have discussed that, so,
As you can see, this was the February, and it wasn't too bad, it was $600,
okay.
so.
Do we have any questions on those, bro? No?
Where do we stand on manure hauls?
That's a very general question, what specifically would you?
Well,
other
tell us
words-
stand away from.
Are the trucks still dumping here, or have you got?
Well, there may be, I mean, I haven't received any recent reports. I did have a meeting with Lieutenant Combs and some of the environmental folks. As you know, at the last meeting, council gave me the authority to spend up $10,000 for additional enforcement. I don't really want to do that, I'd rather save that until we really need it. But we
During the
did talk
season.
about the fact that possibly if we do go ahead and request any additional services from the sheriff's office, we're probably gonna do commercial vehicle division and not any kind of surveillance and things like that, because the CV guys can stop somebody and they can really, if there's.
Oh,
yeah.
they can
His guy's
really
well
get them going.
trained too.
Yes, exactly. Where we are in the ordinances, as you know, last meeting, council passed the haulers ordinance on second reading. The agenda for May 6th will be taking the receivers ordinance to council for a first reading. It has gone to the P&Z board because it's a unified land development code ordinance.
Okay.
So that would be, May 6th would be the first reading. We would have to wait till the first meeting in June because the mayor had asked that the meeting on May 20th be strictly related to the roads. It'd be a special meeting to talk about the roads. So we're not trying to put anything else on that agenda that will impact
And
that
that's
intention.
the first meeting in June?
So, yeah, so the second reading would probably be the first meeting in June for the receiver property.
Okay.
No, what were you saying about the second meeting in May is for what?
The second meeting in May is going to be, I believe it's going to be a special meeting and not a workshop, so they can make decisions related to the roads. The continuation of the discussion you had with the council, you know, when you had the joint meeting, joint workshop, where this is where they will talk about what they intend to do with the roads, debt policy as it relates to roads, the whole 9
Referendum.
yards.
And that's a discussion between themselves. There is no public comment at that meeting.
Oh, no, I think there'll be public
Will
comment.
there be public comment?
You know, they were gonna have that meeting at the 15th of April after y'all's workshop, and they took that off the agenda because they had so many items, so they've scheduled it for May the 20th. To
We did
consider.
we did a presentation from the Eco Green lady, and I mean, that was a presentation that normally should have taken maybe 10 to 15 minutes. I think it went like 45 or 45 minutes or an hour. I mean, you know, so they got behind the schedule, and then it wasn't, you know, conducive to having that discussion.
Okay. Thank you.
Mhm.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
Question.
Good question. What are we at this time, the speed hump? Are we going to, do we move them, we configure them, when will it start?
Well, as you know, about 2 meetings ago, the council adopted a template that was proposed by our traffic consultants in White. And then in the last couple of meetings, there have been discussions relative to the spacing. But that was not based on any study, that was just basically council having their discussion and deciding what they wanted to do. So,
Did you approve the 1,000?
yeah, I believe that's what it was, I think it was 1,000, I have to go back and double check that. They were all over the place with 800, 1,000.
I think they approved for 1,000.
Yeah.
So we're going to start working on it.
Well, if those standards get, they'll be used the next time we do a road project and we need speed humps. Which, it could be B road based upon the development down here by the college. There's really nothing planned for a while as far as OJ and the rest of the
All
roadways.
the existing one, we're going to reconfigure and reconstruct it.
Oh, I don't think that was even considered.
Oh, really?
No.
What?
Well, weren't
What
they
did you
gonna
say?
take out every other
Take
one?
out every other one on the,
They didn't discuss that.
No, they never said.
They were talking about for future speed
Yeah.
humps,
Well,
this was gonna be
see,
the
this
We don't have too
template.
many roads, do we?
This is where I have a
We
problem.
just need to flatten them, get a heavy vehicle and flatten
I
them.
thought we were going to
Things
do
can
the
happen
road.
in the middle of the night.
One, we've got a speed limit in this town of 30 miles an hour. You start taking a road like B Road or D Road or some of these roads that go all the way through, and you put these speed tables 1,000 feet apart. 1,000 feet apart, that's almost a quarter of a mile.
Mhm.
How fast can you go in a quarter of a mile?
60.
Yeah. Speed limit is 30.
Well, I do 30 when I do the speed hump.
Yeah, I know the speed hump, but I'm talking about what's in between. In other words, what I'm saying, we're asking for problems. If we're gonna maintain and enforce a 30 mile an hour speed limit, why are we giving them the latitude of going 60 miles an hour?
Who's enforcing it?
Nobody.
I don't know of anybody unless you're on a road with a speed hump that goes 30 miles an hour anyhow.
Madam Chair,
yes.
question. I'm not quite sure if that 1,000 feet apart is only for future speed bump. It could be for the current one that we have to configure. I hope that we need to get clarification.
Yeah, there was some,
Because-
some people have the impression that
Yeah,
Mr. Chu
because
does.
I don't think, how many roads do we have left?
Oh, you got South A, you got
One,
South B,
Two.
North B,
three.
South C,
D, South
D
B,
road,
South-
collecting
South
canal
City's got
road,
speed.
all of B.
All B.
all of
I mean,
B, and
We
collecting
don't have
canal
a few.
road.
I think that the comment, to me, it is for everything, the future and current. I hope that we get clarification from the council.
Let me say this, I think, that's a good point, and probably that should be discussed as one of the issues on May 20th.
Yeah.
Absolutely, no question about that. My concern is that, at one point in time, council was going to direct me to have our consultants do a speed hump study. And I presume that would mean not only designing a template, but also looking at the distances. Especially if we're going to continue to use the speed hump as an alternative to guardrail, which has been a big issue in this town.
Alternative to what?
Guardrail.
Guardrails.
So I'm concerned if you start to take an arbitrary number and use that, and you make that your, your standard operating requirement.
I think you need to bring it up because for safety reason or because this is the direction from the council, how are you going to balance it? It has to be discussed. And I expect that they're going to remove some of them. That's how I believe it.
It's not.
That's why when they said 1,000, I give them a big hand. I was the only one give them a big hand.
Maybe you were different.
I remember you clapping, you were the guy.
But it's not only the 30 miles an hour, it's cut through traffic. If you live as close to B Road as I do, you see what's happening. I mean, the cut through traffic on that road is unbelievable.
Well, I know that they're gonna put speed humps on Compton Road, so they're gonna use that new template on those roads that were resurfacing, Bryant, Marcella, and Compton. So,
So it's gonna be 1,000 feet apart on those roads?
yeah,
Okay.
They're 3/4 of a mile, so.
yes.
May I ask also, since we're talking about safety and roads,
Has there been any talk of increasing the size of the berm along the edge of the road? I mean, there's some berms that are literally non-existent.
I'm not aware of any discussions in that regard.
I remember when I first moved to this town, the berm was, you know, I mean, it wasn't 4 foot tall, but it was, you know, it was a nice
berm,
nice
and with
deterrent.
all the nurseries we
Now
have
it's
out
huge.
here, there should be a nice ground covering or something to hold it, in. You know, it just seems like the berm is the most neglected stepchild.
When they clean up the vegetation, when they do maintenance, they actually enlarge the canal and reduce the burn significantly.
And there's some portions where there's like this much berm.
I know because when they clean up the canal, the bank.
I watched the whole thing.
When they build, what do you call it, they build the water lines. I mean, some of them virtually disappear.
Right, but that's an important issue, I think, for safety. If they're gonna discuss this at this meeting, you know, I would think, you know, it's just another thing to make it safer.
Okay. Well, these are all good comments, but I think they're going to need to be brought up individually at other meetings. I'm not sure they're finance committee related. And,
I'm pretty sure you're right.
Although it's gonna cost money, at least.
Around town.
Yeah.
No, it'll get back to you when we're,
You know, I understand that it's near and dear to a lot of people's heart on this committee. But I think, are we ready to move on to closing comments? And since we have no,
I just have one last question.
okay,
Before closing comments. What happened to the code enforcement thing in the agenda? Last meeting, we talked about
Yes.
putting that in the agenda.
Well, we took it that you didn't want the presentation.
no, we didn't.
Oh,
No, we said we wanted it
Okay,
inside
then
the
we'll put it back
agenda.
on for next month.
For next month. I read it and thought it was very clear, and very nice.
I do have to make a
I thought you were
disclaimer, you know,
teaching
I
advice.
realized there's a couple of materials that I quoted that I didn't get the quote into, so I'm gonna have to do that, so I'll do it before the next, give everybody their due.
We absolutely do.
I want you to shorten up to 5.
Yeah.
Yes.
Can you do the presentation?
5 slides.
What do you?
Boy, you don't
what
want
do you
anything
say?
big,
Just-
big.
Do we have anything really to, we're just doing the
Just
financials?
basically that we approve.
Okay, you're not gonna,
I probably am not gonna be there. I'll have to go out of town. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna be
okay,
back.
so let's just talk about that real quick then. What do you want?
After the meeting, I'll,
Okay.
unless everybody wants to,
Oh,
has any comments, I can tell you, you know, what we need to say. Okay.
We all look good and y'all need to make up
Pardon?
your minds. We look okay and y'all need to make up your
All right,
minds.
so, we do not have any members of the public here, for closing comments, so, committee members. Mr. Johnson?
Good meeting, thank you.
Ms. Standish?
I think it was a good meeting. We're 6 months into our year, are we not? And, I think this next 6 months is gonna be critical to this town and the stuff we look at.
Okay, Cheryl Miller?
Excuse me?
Oh, excuse me, Mr. Chair?
I wrote like 5 pages.
Can you email
I'm
me?
so excited. Thank you.
You're so excited to pass your gavel.
He's taking this new
That
picture.
too.
I've been trying to do this for years.
Yeah, I know, it's about 5 years.
Okay, Cheryl?
Well, congratulations to the town managers on their rehire,
Continuation.
Thank you.
on their not being let go
Yeah.
yet, at least for another year.
Give us a chance.
It'll only be a month for that drum.
The tide changes quick.
Yeah.
Good
Okay.
meeting and see you.
Mine, I just, it was a good meeting. Thank you to everybody.
For this guy.
Yeah, do you have any comments?
You're gonna have to get your presentation ready, take the road.
Mhm.
You're in charge of the next meeting again.
Oh, yeah, all right.
Commend the
Okay,
committee, very exhilarating.
okay, so do we have a motion for adjournment?
I make a motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Facts.
We have 5-0 on adjournment.
Perfect.
Okay, yeah, I'll
Well, we had the audit. Do you want to comment anything?
No, I think that all you want to say is.
Huh?
The sorority is usually.
Oh, Mark. What about the lady with the, we had she asked for a fence too.
To comment on this minute, so how we gonna do it?
That's okay, you signed it, because all the comments were above this page. They won't change the page number. Thank you. Love.
$1,000 feet of forest.
Mark? This is,
That's not. We know enough financial ask. And that